What's up everybody, it's the one, the only, the Phenome, and welcome to yet another Phenome special video regarding World of Warcraft Legion. Now, as you may or may not know, this is a video from a series of 12 videos, actually, regarding the artifact weapons in the up-and-coming World of Warcraft expansion Legion. And today we're going to be looking at the Shaman artifact weapons in particular. So without further ado, let's get into it. And we're going to start off with Elemental. Now, Elemental is a damage spec for the Shaman class, and the weapon they're going to be using is called the Fist of Ra-Den. And the description reads, Aman'Thul, the Highfather, leader of the Titan Pantheon, entrusted his greatest servant, Highkeeper Ra, with this artifact which could channel the fury of the storms. Ra used it to bestow life on the Titan-forged Mogu race, and he wielded it in battle against the Black Empire for years beyond counting. Later lost to Ra, the weapon was ultimately recovered by the august celestial Zuen, who saw its immense and dangerous power and chose to safeguard it until someone worthy could take up the weapon in a righteous cause once again. Okay, this is probably one of the most powerful weapons in the artifact pool, since it was at one point in the possession of the leader of the Titan Pantheon. I mean, Aman'Thul himself was actually wielding this weapon. I'm assuming he was wielding it, or at least he had it. Now, if he made it, or if it was a weapon of some other race, perhaps of some other origin, that is unknown to us, but in my opinion, the fact that it was kept by such a legendary character, I think it's more than enough to respect this weapon. It was then passed on to the Highfather's most powerful servant, Highkeeper Ra. Now fast forward to current time, and we actually had a chance to fight the Highkeeper. Only he was now named Ra-Den, and it was in the heroic Throne of Thunder in Pandaria, in the expansion Mists of Pandaria, rather. The prevalent idea is that the Thunder King and his Mogu, the same race which Ra-Den gifted life through this fist weapon, actually held the Keeper captive and conducted torture and possibly other heinous acts upon his flesh and soul. Basically, there was even this divine bell, I think, and it was said that it was cast from a flesh of a maker, and Keepers have been referenced as makers, and well, I think combine that text with the scars you can see on Ra-Den, and I think you can paint a rather gruesome picture of what actually happened there. And in any case, we don't know when he lost his weapon and how it happened, but it's safe to assume that this had happened before this altercation with the Thunder King, since otherwise I think the Keeper would have just kicked the Thunder King's butt and kicked him out of his chambers, basically. There is another gap in the story which I would like to see filled in during the questline, and that is where we could see how the weapon passed from Ra-Den to Zuen, the White Tiger. In my eyes, the story for obtaining this weapon could be that we get a hint during the foundation of our class order hall, which will be basically after the Broken Shore. That's going to be, if I remember correctly, the first thing we're going to do. We're going to set up our class order hall, and then we're going to go after the artifact. And here, we might get a hint about this weapon. That could lead us, for example, to Lord Walker Cho, who tells the story in his typical lore fashion. And he tells the story how Ra-Den actually lost the weapon, because the fact that we don't know it at the moment doesn't mean they can't put something like that in. Maybe that the story wasn't really that secret, who knows. And then he directs us to Zuen, who is the current keeper of the weapon, and then you would need to participate in a trial of sorts, maybe something like a proving ground scenario, and the reward in the end is this coveted artifact weapon, if you can prove yourself worthy to the White Tiger. That's a very rudimentary take on the questline. Obviously, there should, if it was implemented this way, there would definitely should be more content around it. But the general idea is something like that, and I think that would be pretty cool. Also, since there will only be one of these claws, basically. It is the fist. It's not the fists of Ra-Den, it's the fist, singular. There will be a shield coming as well, as you can see in the picture, and to be honest, it might be the thing that is noticed more than the fist weapon itself. I mean, sure, it is big. There's if you look at this picture, the Tauren that is actually wielding this weapon and shield, you can see that the fist weapon is very noticeable. It's very big when you consider everything. But I still think the shield will be more noticeable than the fist weapon. And hopefully they can maybe design it in a way that, at least from this angle, it seems like the shield is the main piece. But maybe if we saw it from a different angle, it would seem differently. But basically, what I want to say with this is, I hope the shield will be a complement to the claw, not the other way around. So, yeah, that's what I would like to see. And yeah, speaking of visuals, let's take a look at the visual variants for this weapon, right here. And to be honest, it's a decent set of claws. It's nothing too spectacular, in my opinion. The two on the left, the base and the enhanced version, appeal to me the most, with the Titan influence in the design, and I am a sucker for Titan-style weapons. The middle claw is really in tune with the elemental powers that the Shaman is wielding, and in this case lava, and, well, you know, main spell of the elemental Shaman, lava burst. So, yeah, that's very appropriate. I really like that. Maybe in terms of design, a little bit behind the Titan-inspired claws, but in terms of maybe, well, basically, it's appropriate. It's appropriate for an elemental Shaman to have such a claw, in my opinion. The next one is kind of weird. I think there is a bit of a beast motif going on here with what looks like a wolf's head at the top, and there are literal bone claws here. You can see that those are basically, they're almost maybe like tusks, even, or maybe just simple bone claw, three-pronged. And yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, although I'm not a fan of the bones, but the idea is rather cool. And the final one is a corrupted version, as per usual, and to be honest, I actually do like this version because it's really inspired by the Twilight's hammer. You can see that there is the hammer crest and all this purplish energy around it. That's pretty cool. And yeah, basically it's something like maybe their dark shaman, their ascendants. Basically, they could have used something like this, and I think that's very cool. That's very cool looking. And yeah. This is actually one corrupted weapon that I wouldn't mind having on my character. It's a shame that the shields are not included here. So we just have to hope they're going to be appropriate. And as I said before, I hope they will actually complement the fist weapon, not the other way around. All in all, this is a solid set, but in my view, not as strong as many others in the artifact weapon pool. And yeah, hopefully with the color schemes, maybe there will be some interesting possibilities here. But at the moment, maybe this is definitely the second half of the artifact weapon pool, in my opinion. Now, enough about that. Let's move on to the next spec, which is Enhancement. Now, Enhancement is a damage spec for the Shaman class, and the weapon they're going to be wielding is the Doom Hammer. Yeah, let's read the description first. Forged in elemental lava on the orc homeworld of Draenor, this massive hammer is connected deeply with the elements, and its true power is only awakened in the hands of those who can speak to the elements in kind. The Doomhammer was long wielded by Orgrim Doomhammer, one of the greatest orc warriors of the Horde, and now rests with Thrall, one of the most powerful shaman Azeroth has ever known. Well, we get to leap into the controversy pool one more time. And here the issue is similar to the previously discussed Ashbringer problem in my Paladin video, and furthermore, in my first video with the Death Knights, similar thing with the Shards of Frostmourne. The difference here, though, is the hero who wields it, and it's the people proclaimed Green Jesus, former war chief of the Horde, Thrall. Now, Thrall is probably one of the most popular and beloved characters in all Warcraft, from all the Warcraft heroes, and his removal from the lore could cause a major uproar. Of course, we did have this precedent before in Cataclysm when he basically was killed. His essence was scattered throughout the elemental planes, but his mate, Agra, along with our help, as far as I remember, we got him back together in one piece, and he was reborn of sorts. Basically, his essence was put back together, and he was revived. This, however, is a bit different, because I don't think that previously there would be anyone worthy of wielding Doomhammer apart from maybe a child of Thrall, or maybe Agra, if she would take up her husband's weapon, since she is a shaman herself. But even during the period when Thrall was presumed dead, there wasn't any talk of anyone taking up the weapon in his stead. I mean, why should that change now? And here's the monkey wrench in all this situation. I don't think Thrall will die. I reckon that he will pass the weapon on to us and just, I don't know, take it back after Legion is done. Which is quite weird if you think about it. I mean, if he would die, I think the weapon would stay in his family as an heirloom of sorts, maybe until one of his children would be worthy to take it up. And, yeah. But I just think he won't die. In any case, I think he won't die. I mean, there was this thing that was mentioned during the reveal of Legion, that some major characters might die, and some might lose hope. And honestly, that's what I think will happen with Thrall. Crazy as it sounds, I mean, he's one of the strongest-willed heroes on Azeroth, as far as we know. And all of a sudden, he loses hope, and he gives away his weapon? I don't know. Obviously, this is only speculation, but that's what I think will happen with Thrall. He's gonna lose hope, and we are gonna get his hammer. I mean, there could be the thing where, like, he doesn't get involved because maybe, I don't know, Agra pleads him not to get involved in this, but I don't think that's a big enough reason, first off, for him to stay on the sidelines, and two, for him to actually give us his weapon. His prized weapon, the one that he got from the dying Orgrim Doomhammer, who was a very good friend to him. I mean, that kind of stuff, I don't know. This is only speculation. I mean, there is obviously a percentage that he might still die, but I don't know. Okay, I'm starting to ramble here. I mean, let's not get too deep into the controversy, and instead, let's take a look at something that's not controversial, which are the weapon variants for this weapon. And this is good. This is good stuff right here. This is one of my favorite collections of weapons here. And honestly, the base weapon looks great. I mean, no knocks on that, but it's kind of put to shame with all these insane variants. I mean, the enhanced version is really like it's first off, it looks immensely powerful. I mean, just from a literal hammer standpoint, you know that if you smash something with this, it's probably not gonna get up. And with the elemental connection also, it's like channeling the fury of the storms, maybe. I mean, the same thing goes for all other weapons, but in slightly different ways. The enhanced version, as I said, goes for basically storm power. Then you get the middle one, which uses fell fire as its elemental power source. Then the next one is literal normal fire, the red fire, and the last one is stoked with wind power. All these are amazing, but for me personally, the middle one is a bit less favored, probably maybe because of my inherent dislike for Fel-style weaponry. And also, I'm not a big fan of the fact that this is a stone hammer, and it's basically the Fel version is made of metal, so at least it looks very metallic, and that's kind of a no-no to me when you look at the Doomhammer. Oh, sorry. There is one concern here, though. enhancement is a dual wield spec, so the question arises, what will be the other weapon? It can be another Doomhammer, since there isn't. Well, technically there is, but let's not go down that road. And simply having something as an offhand weapon won't do. And I really like what the devs actually decided to do with this issue, and they decided to add an elemental copy of the Doomhammer as the offhand weapon, as you may have seen in the description picture. Now, this does raise the question of having different weapons in each hand, and there are quite a few people who would have an issue with that. For me, though, that's not going to be a problem. I mean, first off, I'm not a member of Team Transmog. It's not something I overly think about all the time, like, oh, is this piece matching the other piece or something like that. I'm not really too bothered with that, but the idea that you're actually wielding an elemental weapon in the other hand, that's the idea is insanely cool. The look of the lava weapon that was shown off in the description picture looks great, and there's potential for some amazing elemental weapon animations. And for example, I would be interested to see if there was anything special, for example, done with Lava Lash, if it of course stays in the game, by the start of Legion. Like maybe there is some kind of a little explosion that happens when you do Lava Lash with because it is a shot with the offhand weapon, and yeah, there is potential here. There's immense potential with these elemental force weapons, so to speak. Yeah, I'm really excited about these weapons. I mean, this is my main spec artifact, so this is the first thing that I'm going to be going after, and I'm going to be getting the answers to all my questions very, very early on. Okay, time to stop nerding out. As I said, this is a great collection of weapons. I really love all the variants, and I think they are great. This is great work. But now, it's time to get to the final spec of the Shaman class, and that's gonna be Restoration. Now, Resto is a healing class for the Shaman, and healing spec for the Shaman class, and the weapon they're gonna be wielding is the Scepter of Ajara. Now, and yeah, let's take a look at the description here. A powerful scepter created by Queen Ajara long ago, before her transformation into a Naga. The scepter swirls with waters from the Well of Eternity prior to its corruption, granting the scepter great magical and restorative powers. The Scepter of Ajara was lost during the War of the Ancients. Shortly before, Ajara and many of her followers were swallowed by the sea. Taken up by surviving night elves who knew nothing of the power it truly held, it was buried with an unknown priestess in a family tomb in Azuna, waiting to be discovered by someone that could unlock its true potential. Well, I'm happy to say the Shaman, who are typically an underpowered class and really just pegged as average in everything, they're getting really powerful weapons lore-wise. I mean, and this is and another surprise here is that the Shaman, who is basically a more horde-oriented class, they're getting an elvish weapon as an artifact. Now, the oddity here is the fact that the energy that's poured into this weapon is not basically the energy supposedly poured into this is arcane, not elemental, which is basically what the Shaman is all about. It's about elemental energy. Arcane energy is left for mages and other spellcasters. The Shaman focuses on the forces of nature. And yeah, the Well of Eternity was a fount of arcane energy, which is obviously the source of this weapon's power. And yeah, the Well of Eternity was a fount of arcane energy, and that's why also the spellcasters of the Night Elves during the Well's existence were mages. Druids showed up just before the Well was destroyed, and only afterwards they just banned mages and went full with druids. Now, hopefully this kind of it's maybe not an issue, but this is definitely a question lore-wise, and I hope it will be addressed by the writers for the artifact questline. I hope it will be addressed, or at least we could get a plausible explanation, because I know this is very nerdy stuff here, but you know, for someone like me, that's going to be nagging at the at the kind of the back of my head, like, but damn, this is not right, you know? This is not right. Also, if this weapon was infused with the power of the well of damn it, can't even speak today. Jeez. Also, if this weapon was infused with the power of the Well of Eternity by Queen Azshara herself, why would she abandon this artifact? I mean, surely anything that's powered by the well's waters is immensely powerful. And it's said here that basically the elves who took it up afterwards, they didn't know that it held just such huge power. And sure, there might have been the idea that she just lost the scepter during the Sundering. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I don't think she is kind of shown as always having a weapon with her. I mean, she was probably one of the most powerful mages ever to live on Azeroth, if not the most powerful one, bar the maybe one or two of the Guardians. But still, it's odd that the scepter just kind of got lost. This seems kind of silly, in my opinion. An interesting point we have here also is that currently the scepter is located in Azuna, the zone which supposedly will have heavy Naga influence. It might be possible that along with the mission of recovering the Pillar of Creation in that zone, which is what we will be hunting down all over the zones in the Broken Isles, maybe the Queen of the Naga now might send search parties for the scepter as well. Maybe she finds out about the scepter, and then it could be like a race maybe between you and Azshara's servants in reaching the weapon, and perhaps even this is like completely just complete nerdfest here, but this would be cool if you could you get to the scepter first, and you could use it to purify the Nagas and the Naga enemies basically back into elves, and maybe getting them on the good side. I mean, that would be mind-blowing, in my opinion. I don't think that's gonna happen, but I think that would be very exciting, and maybe that would be an interesting way to show the power of this weapon, that is a tool of healing, of restoration, maybe a tool of purification even. That would be great. That would be pretty cool. Now, in other respects, this is another weapon combo. Since the scepter is a one-hander, there will be a shield in the other hand. And even, let me tell you, even in this description picture, I can tell that it's absolutely beautiful. And hopefully all the other variants will look as good as this one. And actually, speaking of variants, let's take a look at the variants for the weapon. For the scepter itself. Well, as you can see, there are no shields present here. So yeah, that is a bit sad. But you know what? The look of this weapon makes up for that in spades, that's for sure. The artists can do some really awesome stuff with the kind of the elemental core inside the weapon, or not maybe the elemental, but basically with the waters of the well inside. I mean, the base and enhanced weapons do have visually this living water inside of them by the looks of things, and if it was made to move and kind of change shapes passively, that would be super cool. Or maybe with kind of triggers, maybe on some major healing spells, the waters would just start to crazily splatter out of that scepter, and you know, there's a lot of ideas that could be implemented here. The middle one actually has an energy core. That's cool. That's pretty cool, but in my opinion, the water core is more interesting because it's it's more fluid, you know. It's more fluid. Water is more fluid than I don't know, electricity or something. Also, the fact that the core is so small, it's kind of I don't know. The shooting lightning, at least is shown. There's like this one lightning arc. That's pretty cool, but nah, we've seen that before. The water part is, in my opinion, is a lot better. And now the other two have solid cores, with the one to the middle having kind of an encompassed core, maybe in these kind of what looks like wood or maybe horn. And yeah, the other one has kind of an icy core with more of a look it has a look like of a smashing weapon, maybe, instead of a healing one, with the sharp edges coming out on the sides. So yeah, that doesn't look like a healer weapon, that's for sure. And another thing that catches the eye is the rune on each weapon, or rather on each variant of this weapon. And it would be interesting if this bit also had maybe an animation effect while casting spells. I mean, it's very small, and when you look at this, maybe how far you look out when you actually how far you zoom out the camera when you're playing. I mean, if you're playing like me, you're probably zooming out to the max basically all the time, and you couldn't really see how this works, but that would still be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. To sum everything up, I think this is a gorgeous weapon set, and one that I will definitely try to hunt down, and hopefully the corresponding shields will be as good as this beautiful, beautiful scepters. Okay, so to sum everything up for all the specs, I think the lore power and impact of these weapons might be probably the biggest one of all the classes, and I really hope that the storylines will kind of highlight all of this in the Shaman pieces. It's time that the Shaman got some real power bestowed to him, and Cataclysm doesn't count, just in case. In terms of visuals, enhancement and the rest, though, they have great variants for their weapons, and I think they leave Elemental trailing in their dust, at least in my opinion. And the thing that they chose a fist weapon for Elemental, that doesn't really feel right for me. I mean, I would have still liked that they would have given at least one staff to the Shaman. I mean, they had a choice for Resto and Elemental. They could give the Mason Shield to one of the specs, and they could have given the staff to the other one. They chose to go with a fist weapon. I don't know. Fist weapons make sense on an enhancement Shaman in my mind, because he's actually doing melee attacks and everything. And having that type of weapon on a caster feels like, I don't know, kind of a waste, in my opinion. And the thing that a fist weapon is not as noticeable, and since these weapons are supposed to be really flashy, I don't think that works as well as a staff would. But in the end, between all the specs, it's a pretty complete set and very good overall visual package here. Okay, I think that will be it for this video. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then feel free to subscribe to my channel. Leaving a like or a comment would also be very helpful. And don't forget that that the channel has Twitter and Facebook pages, so check them out. The links for those are in the description. Yeah, I guess that's gonna be it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.